Okay, parents, all students went home today with a green sheet and a page protector, and so this has two different types of strategies. The first side is their multiplication strategies, and every student should know how to do these, and they should be practicing them. And then the back side is their division strategies, and we just started this one today, so the only one that I taught them today was equal groups. So if y'all want to practice that, it's fine, but I will do a whole nother video on this side later on in the week. So we're just going to concentrate on the multiplication strategies. So the two main things is they have key vocabulary words are factors and product. And so they are going to have the factors of 3 and 4. So those are the numbers that you're going to multiply together to get your product, which is the answer to a multiplication. And so they're going to write down their equation, 3 times 4, and they're going to try to find their product. The first thing they're going to do is write down the commutative property, which just states that they can switch the two factors around and they will get the same product. So the first one that we taught them how to do was equal groups. And so they're going to take 3 groups and they're going to put 4 dots in each one. So it's just going to look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they would just go back and count how many dots are in each one. And so they would find that their product is 12. Then for this one, they're going to do 4 groups with 3 dots in each. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you notice, I'm trying to make sure that all my dots are at the same each one. So we really don't want to see this where they're changing their dots up or just kind of sporadically putting them in, because when we jump to division, it's going to be really hard for them to see if each one is in an equal group. And then they would just go back and count their dots and they still get the product of 12. They don't have to go in any sort of order. I'm going to do it in the order that we taught them. And so we taught them equal groups first, and then the next thing we taught them was repeated addition. And so that's when they take this number right here and they are going to add it that many times. So they're going to repeat their addition, and repeat their addition as many times as the other factor says. So we're going to take the 3 and we're going to write it down 4 times. So it's going to look like this: 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. And then they would add all those up and get 12. They can group them together like this. A lot of students like to do that and then say 6 plus 6 is 12, and that's completely fine also. Then with the commutative, they're just going to take the 4 and they're going to repeat it 3 times. So it would look like this. Again, they can take that and say it's 8 and then add 8 to 4 and get 12. All right, and then the next one we taught them was skip counting. And so this is mainly done on their fingers, but what we do tell them to do is they need to draw 3 lines. And then they would skip count with their fingers. So they would just go 1, 2, 3, 4, write that number down, 5, 6, 7, 8, write that number down, 10, 11, 12. And then the next one they would write down 4 blanks. And they would skip count by 3 with their fingers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The next one that we taught them is with an array. So an array and an area model look super similar. The only difference is that an array can be created with anything. So if they want to create it with hearts, they want to create it with dots, they want to create it with stickers, beads, it really doesn't matter. This is where more of the creative stuff comes in. Area model is going to be more of like, it has to be boxes. It's going to be trying to get them to realize that area is the inside of objects. So an array, I'm just going to do dots. And so the way we say this, there's several ways that you can say this. Is 3 times 4, 3 rows of 4, or 3 groups of 4. So this was 3 groups of 4, this was 4 groups of 3. Now we're going to do the 3 rows of 4. So we're going to create 3 rows and we're going to put 4 in each row. So we would create the 3 rows and now we're going to put 4 in each row like this, and so then we're just going to go in and fill in. And they would count all their dots, so they would count them all up and get 12. So now we're going to do the commutative, which is 4 rows of 3. So here's my 4 rows, and now I'm going to put 3 in each row, And again, they're going to get 12. The area model is going to look the same thing, but like I said before, this one has to be done with blocks. We have not practiced creating this one very much, so they may struggle with this one a little more. But it's kind of easier if you tell them to just draw one block and then from there continue drawing their blocks out. And then what I do is I tell them to do crying lines. And so basically they're just taking their lines straight down. And then they can create 2 rows and then 3 rows. And so that would be 3 rows of 4. And so this is going to look like area. So instead of perimeter where they would take all the sides and add them together, they just take the 2 numbers and multiply them. Right now, since they don't know what these facts are very well, they're still practicing them, they would just go in and count the blanks in each one, or I'm sorry, the blocks in each one, and they would get 12. And then the same thing when they do the 4 rows of 3. So they're going to draw the 3 in each row, then extend their lines down, the crying lines, and now they need to make 4 rows. And so that would be 4 rows of 3. Again, counting the dots or counting the squares in each one. And so they would get 12. All right, the number line. This one is a little more tricky for them, only because it's really hard for them to break up their number line, especially since we haven't taught fractions yet. That is our next unit, so they will get way better at this their next unit. I'm sorry, this is kind of messy. It's because I'm holding my phone too. So you start off with 0. On a number line, they are always counting the spaces, not the lines. And so they need to have 3 spaces, and we're going to skip count by 4s. So we need to have 3 jumps on our number line. And so anytime we need to cut our number line into thirds or not an even number, they cannot start in the middle. So we've been talking about that. So I'm going to cut it a little bit before the half and then a little bit after the half. And that should be pretty good, 2/3. And so here is that factor of the jump. So there's 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3 jumps. And so since we were jumping 3 times, that means we need to skip count by 4s. And so basically they're using this skip count right here. And so they would write 4, 8, 12, or they would count back on their fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, writing down the number every time they get to that finger. And so then the same with the other number line, except this time we're going to need 4 jumps and we're going to skip count by 3s. So since 4 is an even number, we can start at half, and then you cut that half in half and that half in half. So there's your first jump, your second jump, your third jump, and your fourth jump, and then you would skip count by 3. So 3, 6, 9, 12. Again, if they can't count that fast, just doing their fingers. 1, 2, 3, writing that number down, 4, 5, 6, writing that number down, 7, 8, 9, writing that number down, 10, 11, 12. And then the last one is a strip diagram. They will never have to create a strip diagram, but they will have to read a strip diagram. And so this time what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 groups, and we're going to put 4 in each one. So they draw 3 strips. And they're going to put the number 4 in each one. And then their total goes down here at the long end right here. And then they can also put it inside that block if they want to. And so then the opposite way would be to draw the 3 strips. Oh, I'm sorry, the 4 strips. Or they can draw 1 big long strip like I just did right here. And do the same thing with their number line, cut it in half and then cut it in half, except this time we're going to put 3 in each one. And then it should equal 12. All right, so there's your multiplication one, and then they would go back in and fill in their product. So again, factors are the numbers that they're multiplying together. Product is the answer to a multiplication equation, and so this whole thing is called an equation. If your student can already do all of these, what I would do is I would actually challenge them and maybe not give them the equation, but give them one of the other strategies. So like instead of, starting here, they would go maybe like give them 6 plus 6 plus 6, and they should be able to say, well, that's 3 6s, so that is 3 times 6, and the commutative would be 6 times 3, and then they would go get all the other strategies to try to figure out the product. And so that would be very helpful for them as well. All right, hope that helps.